Greetings, Soulswind here, and welcome to Let's Play Infinifactory. This is the Homeward Fleet region in the Resistance campaign. We're going to create the plasma engine. Yes, that's this puzzle. Yeah, I guess some of you might already know it's not gonna be easy. There's going to be plenty of footprints, and plenty of blocks. Actually, not really, not so much about blocks, but rather footprints. This part, right, as I can show here, okay, firstly, input rate is -1. So the thing is this, right, we're going to have to assemble all of these individual pieces into this gigantic frame. And then send it over, well, some of these components in there. Of course, we need to handle some of these components, like for example, this one is a block, so you need to drill that into this thing and then add some of these and then this one. However, it seemed to look easy until we see this. So there is a concave over here, which means that we'll have to not have blocks here, or we'll have to eviscerate this thing. Now, it would be really easy, right? Just build, and then just eviscerate this. No, not really. Why? That's because we have 4 output ports for these blocks. And each of these over here, each line of this is about 14 blocks. We have a total of 17. 14 multiplied by 17 is 238. Minus 2. 236. Now, 236. I've checked. All of these ports give the same output. Basically, the rate of output is the same. I tried to use a few things to hold it here, so it's like multiple columns of it, and I calculated when a new item is being generated from here for a new set, this one especially, 4 new blocks come out together, so there's no extras. And therefore, if you divide 236 by 4, you get 59, which means each of these blocks are required. There is no evisceration allowed. If you do that, eventually you'll have to start holding some of these components. Although this is like really rapidly producing, but you'll really have to hold some of these components. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is that, you know, there's going to be new ones coming in, but this frame is not ready yet. This one here, this frame is not ready yet, and eventually it's not Infinifactory. It runs till a point where it fails because you're always destroying 2 blocks. On top of that, why input rate -1? We do not want to allow any of these blocks to be blocked inside from coming out. You see this over here? As long as there's anything blocking and none of these blocks are able to come out, or at least one of them, every block delayed is 1 block less. So what happens is that it's almost like you're destroying the blocks, like the evisceration for the little edge over there. Okay, I'm not gonna go all the way there, it's a long way. So yeah, I'm using evisceration for my first solution, and I'm going to point out how it starts to show, you know, the difference starts to show as we move along in terms of the submission. And in fact, this is -1, because if it's not -1, it eventually is gonna break because it's gonna come out too soon. There's gonna be not enough blocks coming out. You see, it's just nice. Any sooner, it'd be way too soon. You see that? Any sooner, it will be way too soon and it will be blocked. So -1 is the best we can get. No more than that. Also, because this is 14 cannot be divisible by 4. We will not be able to say like, hey, I'll take 1 and, like, you know, build the top. I'll take another one and build the side or something. You know, like 2 of these will give us 7. So no, that's not good. That's really just not good. We're just gonna send everything here, and for solution 1, because this is the third last solution, I initially did not want to like optimize my last 3 solutions for the puzzles, but I really do want to solve this problem with like eviscerations over here and to have it literally be Infinifactory, because you know it is Infinifactory, it should run infinitely and not break. So what can we do to ensure that it does not break? Now, this is solution 1, so I'm not gonna really talk about how each of these mechanisms work, but basically we need to build one L shape on the top, one L shape on the bottom, weld them together. This place we just need to drill whatever it is over there, and then like stack them together. Then we need to have these engines and whatnot be attached to these, like maybe these are fuel tanks. I suppose this really does look like a fuel tank, so I suppose this is the fuel tank, and then we'll have to like have the fuel tank be attached to this one and make it all work. I suppose they work in a pair, so maybe we have one more that you know like covers this side up, so this thing will be one full set, so maybe like one here, the other one on the other side, so you know, you get what I mean. But anyways, we're just gonna take a look at this in general. I have a solution too, and that's when I'll then explain about my solution. But what I want to show is how it slowly becomes way less reliable, and it will eventually break. So first one is fine. First submission is always okay. So we need to look for some visual cues about where some of these things break, and if I don't use the forward key, it's gonna take forever. So I'm gonna try to adequately use the forward key in order to not have us like wait. So meanwhile, let's have one submission where we wait through the entire process. Okay, that one falls down there. This is something I really like though. You know, this one that goes in there, and then it reaches there, and that one causes it to roll backwards. So this is something I really like, this implementation. But it's gonna take up a lot of footprints and these cables and whatnot. Yeah. So this one waits here. Okay. I sort of missed the thing already. Okay, you see? That one is over there. Look, this one is coming. So, look, once it's eviscerated, okay, then we'll talk about it. As soon as it moves for evisceration, we'll look at where this is, okay? Let's observe. Okay, evisceration. So let's look. This is slightly more than 3 blocks away from this area. Right? Okay, slightly more than 3 blocks away from that area. From this incoming belt. Okay, that one comes over here, gets eviscerated. Again, we lose 2 blocks whenever we do the evisceration. There's another really interesting implementation that I built here. So we need to weld it and move that side, right? So what do? This one drops in here. Okay, this one gets pushed in. And look. Yeah, this one comes up to weld it and then goes in there. Okay, for a submission. So that's pretty cool. I really like this a lot. And this is up here originally until the engines move in. Okay, this one is here. Okay, I think it's not yet, so let's just continue. Let's oh, this one we missed it already. Let's look at some of these mechanisms over here. Okay, basically like that. So some of the parts are welded slightly later, right? Okay, it's almost evisceration. So let's see what's the new position of that one. Okay, almost. It was like on the edge of being eviscerated, like slightly partially eviscerated, like partially eviscerated. So, oh, okay. Yikes, already moved out by a little bit. Let's forward that a little bit, just a bit more. Okay, now we gotta observe that. Okay, almost. One more at the bottom. Oh my god, again I missed it. Yikes. But okay, so full evisceration is one block, okay? Full evisceration is one block, so there should be 3 blocks left, plus 1 bit of moving out, so there should be 2 blocks left, okay? There should be 2 blocks left here, right? 2 and a little bit more, but you see here, it's actually less 2 blocks and also a little bit more that's gone here. So this one, instead of like, you know, being like 2 with a bit more here, you know, like previously it was 3, so it's like move out a little bit, so it's just gonna be here. Instead it's right here. Okay, so it's okay. Let's see again for one more submission. Okay, that goes inside. Now we've got 4 blocks eviscerated. Let's see if this looks even worse than before. Now, if you see this, okay, alright, we're still waiting. Okay, almost fully eviscerated. It should be 3 blocks. Okay, it should be 3. Look, it's already stepping into here, despite that only just being eviscerated like almost fully. So it should have been almost fully over here with 3 blocks remaining. Look, it's already almost fully in here on this platform, right? So it kind of proves my point right here that, you know, this is really going really poorly. Luckily, we have got this waiting like area, holding area over here. So it's not gonna be to the point where, you know, an entire set is gonna be submitted. No, but it will not be Infinifactory. If we run this long enough, it's going to fail. There's going to be a lot of backlogs here. There's going to be a lot of backlogs over here, which will prevent some of these things moving in properly. And this one that falls down is not gonna work. Okay, so let's just quickly take a look at this one being like processed. So the first block goes here and then just goes here. Well, you know, cuts. Just goes here and cuts and then goes down there, and then the next one just goes differently. Let's quickly forward that, and we just see. Like I said, I'm not gonna explain like every single process, like basically how these blocks each function. Just gonna show you that it does work like that. Okay, like this, and then you know that part took me a lot of time to build. So yeah, this one, you know, for that little edge over there. So we needed a little detour, but it's okay. Goes in there, gets welded, goes in there, and then over there. And this is the fun part. This one that goes in there, okay, and then comes back out. This is really, really fun. I'm gonna show one more time this one. And then drops down here, pushes in, ding. See, this one goes up, welds it, and then stays up there because by default it should be up there. Once the engines come in here, that one's gonna drop. Look, once it comes in here, that's gonna drop. Ta-da! Yeah. All right, so let's forward this and let's see. Okay, this is like 3 blocks, less than 3 blocks away. So it should have been eviscerated, right? Not yet. Inside, already up. Just about to be eviscerated. This is already in place. Look, already in place. See? So it's gonna be worse and worse and worse until a point where it just no longer works. But by then we'll have submitted 10 copies of this, so at least it's okay. At least it's okay. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna forward this until the end. But you know, the experience of building this helped me build my new solution. Yeah, yeah, it actually did help me build my new solution because of the experience I had from building this. Look, it is already here, and this is like one block away from being at the edge of the evisceration. Look, it's like this is already here, and it's just reached the edge over there. You see, we're still waiting. Look. Okay, anyways, let's just send to completion. And very bad. Now, this is -1. I'll tell you, for my cycle score in the new solution, we are using input rate -2. Will it be as bad for cycle score though? We'll see. We'll see. Because the positioning and the placement of these components are very different. More optimal and better, I would say. Blocks, I believe I had about 300 plus. I'll be able to show it soon. And footprint, I cannot remember. But this one, I think 300 plus. Footprint, I seriously cannot remember. So see you in solution 2. This is solution 2. Right from the get-go, we can actually see that it's slightly more complicated, especially with the cables running all over the place, the superstructure, and that cable running the full length. That takes up a lot of blocks, but is absolutely necessary. And bottom right-hand corner of the screen, blocks 333 instead of 400 something, like 469, was that it? So we have some improvements since we know blocks are not going to increase. They are the operational blocks over here. And input rate -2. I'm gonna show you soon why that is the case, okay? Also, now, do you see no eviscerators over here? Yeah, I managed to find a way to not need to eviscerate the last 2 blocks here, which means that this can potentially run infinitely, fulfilling its purpose of being Infinifactory. Now, I'm gonna walk you through step by step, like what these blocks work, starting with this one. So, before it ever goes forward, okay, over here, I'm also using this, like this conveyor belt thing, because it's gonna be too deep in terms of like drilling. And the thing is that if we were to use pushes and whatnot, we're gonna use a lot of pushes. Every eviscerator requires 2 pushes for it to go too deep. And that's not good, because 1 pusher is gonna only extend it 1 deep, so that's no point. Like 2 goes too deep, and that's what it is. So we need 2 pushes for each of these, and there's like 12. So already 12 more blocks, plus 12 more blocks of conduits to attach to the first set of pushes, and 12 more blocks of conduits to attach to the second set of pushes and whatnot. Even if we were to halve it like the previous one, that will still be 6 of each, and that's about 24 blocks on top of the eviscerators. Yeah. So it's not good. It's really not good. And we have to space everything apart in order to let that connect. And you know, like over here, it's not possible. If we were to have these like all connected, then how do we connect the pushes to, you know, the middle eviscerators, like the middle pushes, and the conduits, they don't get to connect. So it's not possible. We also have this, and this is only 1 deep. That makes it even harder. Now here, I did it slightly differently. Basically over here, I've got like this block, and it's not moving until it's being stacked with another block. So, yeah, there's going to be 2 blocks stacked before they start to move. So, you see here, there's a little gap. That's why you see this doesn't seem to make sense now. It's because it's not risen high enough. Oops, and I forgot to have the music, so hang on. Ah, yes. Now, some music. I forgot to activate the music. because I was just trying to like build this thing while like having as little interruptions or distractions as possible. So actually, I mean, honestly speaking, if you really need to, you can remove the music in here, because like after some time it may get a little bit on your nerves, especially when you're trying to like reason certain logic. Yeah, this music repeating again and again and again just sort of gets to me. So yeah, okay, anyway, let's see. So we got one. I'm gonna forward it until there's two, because it's like -2 input rate, so it's really bad. I'm still holding on to the forward key. Look, okay, there. Okay, it comes up here. So I'm re-recording this segment because I kind of explained this part really badly and it wasn't really comprehensible, so I'm just re-recording. Well, anyways, so these two blocks get welded and then get moved along to here, and this sensor is kind of at this part where this evisceration mechanism is at. So it gets sent over, okay, and then it will stop moving once it loses like momentum, right? So it loses momentum in about 2 blocks, which means that it's going to reach here, this part around here where this conveyor belt is, but it's not extended yet. So like there's 2 more blocks to go, but at this place this is already triggered. So this sensor is trying to tell this conveyor belt to move forward by activating this pusher. So what happens is that the pusher pushes the conveyor belt over, and this one moved 1 more block in the meantime. This conveyor belt then allows this evisceration mechanism to start rolling forward, and note that this sensor is currently activated. The currently activated sensor just says that, hey, this part, yeah, keep this connected over here, retract this blocker. Alright, so once this is in place, this block is in place, okay, while that is rolling in, it triggers this sensor to send out the conveyor belt. So, oh no, once it reaches the end, this block is gonna start rolling out. But it's okay. This is rolling outwards, like this is being extended outwards. At the same time, this evisceration mechanism is also moving forward. And once it's out, this is deactivated. So by then, even though this is fully activated, like fully extended, this has started to block. Blockers take priority and pushes as well. So even though there's like momentum telling it to move, it loses its chance to move because this blocker has already been extended. So this disconnection of the sensor or deactivation of the sensor also tells this pusher to disconnect the conduit, which allows this conveyor belt to return, so that the drilling mechanism or the evisceration mechanism can roll back to its home state. And over here, this blocker is necessary because if not, when I build this mechanism, I'm gonna have something to prevent this from rolling further. If I'm not using this, I'm gonna use like a platform, and if it's a platform, it's connected, so it's gonna prevent the drilling mechanism from moving. So that's not good. Maybe I should use a conduit here. Would have saved 1 footprint, but whatever, it's okay. Alright, so now this is disconnected, so it's gonna retract the conveyor belt, and also at the same time this stays extended because this is a blocker. However, once this mechanism retracts, alright, okay, it will activate the sensor again, and it says that, hey, I'm going to reconnect this. So I mean, eventually it has to reconnect, right? Because this was the default start state, and it's not really nice because it's gonna send those drilling things in here. But well, it also tells this to retract, right? What's the difference right now? This is still in place, and this was triggered by this sensor when the block first moved in place. So this stays extended, and the good thing is that once this blocker has been retracted, this whole thing can move. So it moves forward, okay? Meanwhile, this is about to be there, almost there, aha, there. So this is gonna start rolling forward. But it's okay, because while this was extending, this has moved out. The block has already moved outwards. And it triggers this sensor to push it forward away from these drill bits over here. So as these drilling mechanisms start going forward, evisceration mechanism that is, this is also moving in the same direction this was moving, so away from this one, and therefore giving enough clearance for this to come out. And then this is just gonna reposition itself to here to get some of the drilling and whatnot. And that's it. So I hope this is clear enough. If not, let's run through it one more time quickly. Okay, so the block comes in, triggers the sensor, tells the evisceration mechanism to roll out. It rolls out. Deactivate this sensor that disconnects this conduit so that it allows the drilling mechanism to come back by removing this conveyor belt. It also tells this blocker to block here, because when this like fuel tank, we'll call this fuel tank, when it moved in, it triggered this sensor to extend this conveyor belt, and now this conveyor will move it forward unless it's blocked by this one. So the deactivation of that sensor over there at my cursor, yeah, it allows this to block and prevents the fuel tank from moving. So now next, this evisceration mechanism is rolling backwards until it contacts this one, this sensor. Now this sensor says reconnect the conduit and unblock the blocker. But the difference here is that because this is already in place and kept in place by this sensor and this fuel tank, it's able to move forward when it's no longer obstructed by the blocker, and it moves forward. So just as this is connected, because like this one retracts, right? This one extends. So the conduit extends while this retracts. So when this is fully retracted, this is fully extended, then this gets sent out on the next step. This gets sent forward or rolls forward on the next step. So the fuel tank comes in contact with this sensor that triggers a pusher just as this is fully extended and starts rolling the evisceration mechanism. And therefore this is able to get clear of the evisceration mechanism and heads on its way to the next part of this infrastructure. So that's it. Now back to the original recording. This mechanism simply resets to the default value. And here it's really simple. We've seen this before. It goes in here, it gets drilled. This one triggers to say that, hey, I want to wait here. You see, the thing is this, okay, it's suspended, it's able to fall, but we need to hold this. Otherwise, before the eviscerators can retract, this entire thing is already fallen and it's gonna like drill an entire path clean of this place. So no, this retracting of the blocker is the same time taken to retract these drills and allow this block to fall over here. Okay, no, this is not a good angle here. So it goes down here and it's being held here, okay, until this one can come in. So yeah, basically this is to like push this in. Having a conveyor belt is not good because once it comes here, it's gonna go in, and if it's like a conveyor belt that is supposed to be extended inwards, by the time the conveyor belt reaches under this thing, this would have retracted fully and the block would go. So the priority goes to these pushers and blockers. And therefore, we have to use this as a momentum to push it forward. So it's like that one push it forward, this one retracts the same time, and therefore this can get in place properly. And then once it goes down here, it gets moved over there, moved outwards by which one? Oh, by this one, yeah. And then along here, okay, fall down to be using the same path as this one, because why not reuse it? Okay, this one is like triggered and this can push it forward, but I've got something blocking here so that it doesn't just simply move forward. And this is absolutely necessary as well, because we need to reposition this frame to fit here properly. Okay, so this one, okay, I'm just gonna quickly show. I think no, it's not gonna come in time. Instead, I'm gonna show the engines first until maybe like this one. Okay, anyway, sorry, we'll look at this first. So it comes out, it gets rotated to save space, like save footprint, and then like, you know, rotation here to move in here, rotation here again, positioned for being like positioned into this supposedly fuel tank, and the rest you've already seen. Now this engine, all right, it comes out here, immediately gets rotated like that, okay, and then raised upwards by that lifter, and then raised even higher by that lifter to go here. And this part is really nice. Although it's on the roof, we can attach this right outside here. It's just nice, you know. You look at this, this is just nice. One block deeper will not be able to use this, and that would have been disastrous. But it's okay, you know, we can get this over there and then sent out here and then raised even higher. I'm thinking about, like, you know, lowering this just by one more block, but nah, it's okay. I don't think it's really necessary. Anyways, this is being raised here, and I'm not gonna make any changes here because, you know, like, rotating this thing takes a lot of footprint. It's not necessary. Just send it across. Like, seriously, just send it across. No point rotating it to take up that much footprint. It's just unwise. So send this over to here. It goes in here, and then just like gets lifted here, and that's it. Now, can we observe this one again? Let's see. Let's forward this, and we can observe the other one. Okay, anyways, okay, you see this? It falls down here. Okay, again, gets blocked by that one. Okay, that one pushes it in and then gets welded like this. These two welders, and then falls and moves along just like that using the same path. Now, this one comes in from the bottom, okay, and then goes in here for welding. Okay, now this is not pushing it across until the frame reaches here. So this whole mechanism is waiting here, and this is the one that pushes everything into the frame. So it pushes it one time, okay, and when the frame is here, this will extend to set everything in, because like pushing it one is just gonna be one block. This is 3 blocks deep, so we need to move it 3 blocks deep into the frame, and that is where this comes into play, to be able to set everything in. So this will extend when the frame is in place, and when the frame is in place, because of this pushing, we don't need to have any blocks blocking the frame. There's no need to hold it up and block it, because like I said, pushers and blockers, they come first. So once it is able to push this in, because like, you know, this is triggering, so once it's able to push it in, the block gets suspended by this one, which is supported by these supports over here, especially these line, you know, like this line is being used for supporting this thing until it enters the frame entirely. Okay, so you can see here, it just so happens that with all these savings, this one just happens to stop here, and that's really useful. So we need to weld it inside like previously in the previous solution, or if this is welded to the frame, this is welded to the frame, everything is considered welded to the frame, and therefore these two are then considered joint. So we don't need to like weld these two together. So this to the frame, this to the frame, good enough. So now let's take a look at the frame. So why is it -2? You see here, over here, okay, it goes there. Let me just run it at higher speed. Suppose I go to now input rate -1. Okay, you see there is a backlog that gets more and more, and eventually we're going to lose blocks coming out from there. Not good, very bad, so no way, and therefore input rate is -2. Okay, so how does this work? Basically, this is a top L shape. Okay, it comes in here, right? So this thing is just like basically blocking the L shape from coming out. And you look, there's one conveyor belt on top of the other conveyor belt. This is extended out when this blocker is not activated, and we only need one copy, right? So when the first copy comes here, this sensor will say, hey, okay, I have one, the rest will not be chipped, so we'll need to retract that one. So that's why we've got two blockers to just like basically block everything. And why is it like retracting and extending? It's only until there is a full block that waits there enough time for this to retract, and since it waits, it's gonna cause a backlog. All right, so it goes, okay, and then goes here, and then that says that, hey, okay, we've got one chipped one, the rest just the full L shape, and that's it. So just gonna go in there, and then the L shape, and that one blocks the bottom one, so that once the L shape is in place, it's gonna send and continue to keep this retracted. And also the same goes for this side. It's just a different direction. Again, you can see two conveyor belts like that. So there's a welder over here that's gonna extend to be able to weld the new one. Otherwise, this block is gonna get welded to the conveyor belt, and that's really not good. And of course, I missed it. Here is the same thing, okay? Once the conveyor belt is removed, we'll need to have this welder extend to fill that slot and weld the bottom block to the rest of the structure. Alright, I mean the rest of the submission blocks. So that's that. Okay, so now this one like basically waits here, and this one comes in slightly later. So by the time this is in, the next block is here, but it's okay. It's okay. Look, it's really okay. So basically this is the one that's like, okay, ready for submission. And now this is over here. What happens is that it triggers something to say, hey, if let's say this is connected, I'm gonna send this entire thing, this entire frame, forward to that side and then move outwards. And that's not good. That's really not good. Instead of doing that, this is being broken so that the frame doesn't get sent outside until it's complete. So until it reaches the end. Let's forward it a little bit more. So I'm gonna try to like have a full run at normal speed, but this one let's forward first for explanation. Okay, so the welding is over here, okay, and this is over here now. It's almost there, okay. Once it moves, we're gonna see something. Look, okay, it's here. So what happens is that, hey, what does this do? This retracts this sensor to say that I have a block here. This block is a full block, but this block is actually the 17th block, which means the next set of L shape is a new set, which means I need to handle the chipping once again. So like I said, you see, this is very important. The priority is the blocker, so this is not going to send it forward, and it's going to keep this blocked, alright? And this is a new block. Again, the same thing goes here, okay? It's going to be a chipped L shape so that we can cater for this little chip over here. Now, before that, already this is completed and was making its way down. This was completed, sorry. And it's making its way down here and then goes in there. That one, the 17th one, now gets welded when the new chipped one moves in. Okay, the 17th one gets welded to the entire frame, and the 17th bottom L shape moves in. Now, what happens is this. When the first one, the top one, moves in, it pushes it forward to the next sensor. So, this next sensor says that we're done. This sensor that says we need to handle the chipping, if this is not sensing anything, is complete. So this one detaches and says that, hey, we're gonna sense any block here. Whether it's a chipped block or not, we're gonna have to sense that block. And it so happens that it already is here. Look, this is the chipped block. You see here? This is the chip block. So, yeah, we're gonna sense this block as a new block, and the next set has got a chip block, and therefore we should handle without chipping anymore, like that. Okay, so on top of that, remember this was like triggering everything to, like, you know, send this across. That is because now, with this being triggered on the edge, not only does it detach this one, it also tells this one to connect the conduit like here. And that allows this sensor for the bottom L shape to trigger this conveyor belt to go out and send this entire frame to this conveyor belt, then gets moved forward by a little bit. And that's where I say this was important. The entire frame gets positioned by this conveyor belt down here, okay, and then it falls. Look, there's really nothing blocking this, okay? There's really nothing, right? Once it reaches here, it causes this sensor to trigger. Look, there's still nothing blocking it. However, priority goes to this, right? So it gets pushed in by one block first to stop this from falling, then the belt helps it move its entire way inside. And once it's inside, it's now clear from any sort of support, this whole thing will fall, as you can see here. And that's when this welder will weld the inner components to the outer frame, and same for this one. So now separate previously, they're connected now. Basically, these engines to the frame, these things to the frame, and therefore these two are considered connected, and this one gets to come along. Okay? Alright, so can we reset this one so that I can show also this one, because there's some blocking since that one comes out pretty soon. So we need to show the blocking over here, and also we need to show like there is going to be Infinifactory is gonna run forever, simply because there is no evisceration of blocks that are not supposed to be eviscerated. Okay, so this comes out here. Let's wait for that one to come out. Until it reaches that conveyor belt, okay? Okay, at the edge. Where is this? On the conveyor belt, alright? On the conveyor belt, here, right here, on the conveyor belt, right here. At the edge, right there, okay? Now, this one comes in, but because this is still here, the previous set is not ready to move yet, therefore this is being blocked. Otherwise, the entire thing is gonna be like ruined. Because why? This is gonna be pushed in by one more block, and that will be wrong. So we have to block this one here, wasting 3 blocks, unfortunately. Okay, that goes in there. Okay, that's when this one is released and moved along. Alright, so we're gonna forward again before we observe it in full. So let's see. Previously, it goes forward by 2 blocks every time we eviscerate 2 blocks. So now let's see, okay? Let's see. That one is gonna reach the edge, and then we're gonna see if that one reaches the same area. Okay, edge. Here, look, edge. Because you see, okay, actually this is just slightly out, right? Because if it's edge, that's edge. This is slightly out. Alright, I just want to show this is also very slightly out, so it's the same. Okay, it's synchronized. We'll look at it one more time. We'll forward it one more time and then have a full view of the entire process without speeding up, and then speed the rest of this puzzle, because it's gonna take a lot of time. And I believe this cycle score should be actually worse than solution 1 that I had, because I only submitted what, 2? Oh, oh, did I miss it? Never mind. It's okay. We're gonna forward one more. Look, we still have 7 more and we're already at 900. Previously was what, 2.5 or 1.5? Cannot remember, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, even if it's at like 1.5, we're still gonna be way away. 2.5 maybe not so bad. I don't know, but we'll see. This is very slow. This is the determining one right here. Okay, almost. Let's be really careful about it. Okay, edge. You see that? Edge. Nothing out. Alright. Edge. You can see this bounding box. It's on the edge. Yeah, so that's how we know for sure this will be Infinifactory. Now let's observe this thing run an entire course without actually forwarding anything. So that's it. I realized I haven't really shown a good like view of these things. So basically, I also want to explain here that the conveyor belts here prevents, like, you know, these things from being welded together. They just flow, as opposed to like having platform blocks here that will cause like the next block to push the one in front, and then what we'll have is that they will actually end up like being welded to the back block, and that's not good. In that case, then in my previous solution 1, I had to have these 3 welders separate from the rest and have them in front, and that means we'll have a lot of pushes at the back. Oops. Like over here, we'll need to have a few pushes at the back to say that, hey, once it is enough blocks, we need a counter for enough blocks, then we need to push it. And the thing is this, once we count, we cannot change the count, and this Infinifactory thing will fail. So we cannot base on count, we need to base on when this is filled, whether because it's blocked by 1 therefore only 6 fills it, or whether it's not and therefore 7 fills it. So we have to depend on a sensor and not a counter. Therefore, we must use these conveyor belts to move them along instead of using blocks that can reduce some, like using platforms that can reduce some of these blocks. And yeah, but this is the only way that I've discovered while I was building it that can help us have this Infinifactory. Yeah, basically have this Infinifactory. Right, so I'm gonna just basically just forward everything because it's gonna take forever. We've got 6 more. Wait, what? 5 more. Sorry, my eyesight is real bad. Well, 5 more submissions, and we're already at 1.6K. will we hit 2.5k? I cannot remember if it was 1.5 or 2.5 the previous solution, but will we hit 2.5? I suspect we will hit and exceed 2.5. Pretty sure. By how much? Not too sure, but exceed definitely. We're already at 2.3 and we still have 3 submissions. I think every submission is about 200 cycles. 2.4 and nowhere near the submission. 2.4, almost 2.5, 2 more submissions to go. I suppose and I suspect we're gonna have 3,000 cycles. This one, I'm not concerned about optimizing the cycles. All I want is to ensure we have Infinifactory. I'm not too sure if there's any other ways to get Infinifactory, but this is my way of getting Infinifactory by using those blocks and whatnot, and you know, those will cause some delays, which means I have to reduce the input rate to ensure that those mechanisms over there work properly. There we have it. Our final submission, right there. And as we have seen, the cycle score is 3,000. Really terrible. Footprint score, 627. 500 in improvement. Very, very good. Very, very good. So we got extra 500 in cycle. We gained that back in footprint score. Plus, we also got better block score of about 132. So in total, we improved by, say for example, 483. Suppose 1.1k is exactly 1.1k and not 1.100 something. Yeah, this is considered good for me because most importantly, I was able to achieve the Infinifactory over here. So that is what I really want. And I was thinking like, you know, hey, I managed to get this solved really easily until I saw this chip. That was when I knew something's not right. Oh well. And then I tried to like measure and find that, you know, all the blocks are equal and we don't have extra blocks for evisceration, which means that if we were to eviscerate something, it's gonna be bad. Well, anyways, this is my solution. Should we end off one time viewing this solution? Nah, maybe, you know what, actually last 3, right? We'll do this for the last 3. So let me know if I can improve this even further without breaking Infinifactory, and let me know if there's any other ways to also get Infinifactory. Yeah, and that's it. I'll see you next episode. That's all I have for now. Have a nice day.